You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back to the podcast. This is Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, and I'm Mighty Blue and I'm on the Appalachian Trail. This week we had trail days in Damascus, and I took the opportunity to go back to Damascus and take part in the parade. It was also an opportunity to catch up with so many people, and you hear in my reports that I've been kind of overwhelmed by the kindness of people that I've met these past few days. Many of them complete strangers. It's gratifying that whatever people say on Facebook, the trail remains the kindest place to be. And I'm just overwhelmed by how people have just taken to me in trail days. And these 3 days of actually being at or around trail days has been helpful in allowing me to heal a little and rest a little. So it came at just the right time for me. I'm recording this on Sunday evening, and we'll be back on trail tomorrow morning, which is of course Monday. I just hope that I haven't lost my legs though. But before we hear what happened this week, let's hear from our sponsor, Polar Steps. If you're heading out on a long hike this year, which I am, I've got something I think you're going to love. It's called Polar Steps. It's a travel tracking app that's going to become a favourite with hikers. You set your start date, let it run quietly in the background, and it maps your entire journey automatically, all on your own beautiful spinning 3D globe. And don't worry, the tracking feature uses about 4% of your battery on a single charge, so it's not going to kill your phone when you're out there. You can add photos and short journal entries as you go, so your map shows you where you were and your words remind you of what that day actually felt like. There's a light social layer too. Family and friends can follow along, or you can keep it completely private. As every hiker says, hike your own hike. And when you're done, you can relive the whole thing in the app or turn it into a stunning coffee table book with your route, stats, photos and stories. And did I tell you that it's entirely free to download and use? The only time you'll be paying anything is if you decide to turn your trip into a book. That's Polar Steps. Track it now, treasure it forever. Day 52, which is last Wednesday. Thomas Knob Shelter, mile 499.4 to State Route 603, mile 512.1, a 12.7 mile day. Being in the middle of Grayson Highlands, where the service wasn't great, I was kind of looking for a bit of an out because the forecast was for quite strong rain mid-afternoon, and I really want to stay out of the rain if possible. I've been in the woods for 2 nights, happy staying in the woods. I really enjoy it, but you know, I hate packing up a wet tent, and so far I haven't had to. And when I was looking on Far Out, I found a new hostel. It's called Jeff Davis's. It's brand new. Apparently it's only about 10 days in business. So I was quite interested in that. So I kept that in my mind that if the rain looked like it was going to come, I would bail out and go to Jeff Davis's hostel and see how it went. And so I set out kind of expecting to get out because, as I say, I was expecting the rain to come. Although, you know, I can still camp in a tent with rain, but I just kind of prefer not to if possible. And in the first mile, of course, we passed the 500 mile mark in that very first mile. And I suppose, you know, when I think about it, I've done 2 through hikes, which is a total of about just under 4,400 miles. There's this 500 miles. I've done the Virginia Triple Crown. I've gone from Irwin to Damascus in the past, and I've done some hiking in the Smokies as well with the Fat Guys back in the woods. So what I thought about was that I've done 5,000 miles on the AT, and that feels like, you know, to me, quite an achievement. So I feel pretty good about that. Anyway, so I started heading on down because where we were pretty much as high as we were going to be most of the day. So we were tending down most of the time. And I was walking along and I saw Big Red coming towards me. He'd gone totally the wrong way. He'd gone on a bit of a loop, and he said he was probably about half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile out of his way, but kind of worked out. And so he stayed with me and hiked with me for quite a few miles, actually. And we went through a thing I just do not remember from last time. It's like a crack in the rocks, and it's called Fat Man's Squeeze, which made me laugh anyway, especially as I'm no longer all that fat right now, having lost quite a bit of weight. So we squeezed through the Fat Man's Squeeze, and we made it quite easily, so I felt very good about that bit. And I reminded once more, why I don't especially like Grayson, it's because of the rocks. It was very rocky, so that's why I'm not that keen on it. It was an easy day, as I say, generally downhill. But after about 7 miles, there was a sign to Comer's Creek Falls, and there was an alternate route, which did seem to take us a long way out of our way. If the rain was, if the water was too high. Of course, you can't tell if the water's too high until you go to the falls. So I thought, well, it shouldn't be that bad. We haven't had hardly any rain, so even if it rains now, it shouldn't be too bad. So I headed up there. It's actually quite high, and I turned a corner. I could see it was beautiful falls, and there was a bridge. No, it wasn't a bridge. You had to hop across on rocks, and I could see why. If the river was high, it would be pretty powerful and could knock you over, I suspect. But it was fine, and I got over it without any problem at all. About 4 miles from the road where I thought I'd be picked up, I contacted Jeff Davis, and because there was such limited service, at the Comer Falls, the Comer's Creek Falls, I got service for a few instants, and I texted him to say, do you have a room? And secondly, do you have Wi-Fi? Because I wanted to get my last podcast out. He said yes to both. And so he'd meet me at, I think was it called VA 603, State Route 603. I didn't really think about it. It turned out to be a really, really long ride for him. It was about 45 minutes. I don't think he's really worked out how the shuttling is going to work in the future. But anyway, so I flew down the mountain, in my version of flying anyway, 1.6 miles in about 35 minutes, so about 3 miles an hour, so not too bad. And Big Red was on my tail, and we got down about the same time together. And Jeff turned up a few minutes later. I'd already set my chair up and was sitting there when he turned up. And Red and he were talking. Red decided to go on, and he took us back to the hostel. Let me describe the hostel. Jeff bought a house and has then built in some of his land right by the creek. He's built a beautiful bunkhouse with the privacy curtains, really nice bunkhouse. He's got a glamping sort of setup, and he's also got a yurt, as he calls it. And he offered me the yurt. So because there were two ladies in the bunk room, and frankly, I didn't want to disturb them with my snoring, so I said, I'll take the yurt, which was great. And he's one of these guys who he's a diamond, as the Brits would say. He's just a really good bloke. And he loves the company of hikers. And as I mentioned earlier, I've now done 5,000 miles on the AT, and so has Jeff. He's done 2 through hikes, and he's done extra miles. So we were both 5,000 miles, and we talked about that. And for donation only, he asked if we wanted food, did beautiful burgers, sat with him and the 2 ladies in the dining area in his house, and then actually cooked breakfast for me the following morning before I went back. So the place it's very early. He's still got to work out a few kinks and so on, but it's a place well worth visiting, and you will immediately see what a fantastic amount of potential there is for this place, Jeff Davis's. So if you've got a chance to go that way, or you want to get out of the rain one day, Jeff is very accommodating, and you really enjoy it. And I sat down with him and recorded him, so I'm going to play that right now. So I wanted to avoid the rain today, so I was looking on Far Out. and I found Jeff Davis's, and I'm in Jeff Davis's dining room right now. Thanks for talking to us, Jeff.
Hi, welcome.
Well, you've been very welcoming, and you've got a brand new hostel. I think we're in the first 2 weeks of it, aren't we?
Yes.
So tell us, how did this happen, and why are you just 2 weeks into it?
I started out in 2012. I chose to finish after summiting Katahdin. I decided I was going to open a hostel, and I got here in 2023, and I've been building it since, living a dream. I want to enjoy the company of the thru hikers.
I noticed that tonight. We were sitting around the table, eating and talking about hiking, weren't we?
Yes.
That's your thing. That's your thing, isn't it?
It is. It's my passion in life,
right.
And that's why I'm here.
So tell us about, because considering it's new, you've done a lot of stuff already, haven't you? Because when you arrived, this place was a bit of a mess, wasn't it?
Yes, I'm a home inspector, so as I move into here, the roof had a 46-year-old roof, had no heat, no plumbing or anything, and I've done the entire electrical system, roof, plumbing system, gravity-fed water. I'm proud of. I put through a pump. It goes into a holding tank to a pump, and then it's pumped through the filtration system. Right. So we're on gravity-fed water also.
Nice. And you've got. I'm staying in the yurt, which is a pretty special setup. Tell us about the accommodations you got here then. There's the hostel, which I call the there is the guest bunkhouse, which I call the 2-story, and it's a 10 by 13 room that I just had pine wood milled, so it smells amazing. Great,
it smells really good.
All you need is a few hikers that'll get rid of that straight away.
Well, as we talked about, we just opened 2 weeks ago or so I'm up to about 12 hikers, and the ladies, my first ladies, still like the smell. So far it's working out. And then I just finished my bathhouse, which is just a shower house. And I do use porta potties. Not proud of it, but I do have porta potties. And then I have a glamping tent, I call it, has just a queen size or a full size bed. Mm-hmm. And then I also have the yurt that he's in, that Steve's in. And then I also have what I call the rec room. That's where like the coffee is, the Keurig. It's got a fridge with drinks and snacks.
And the girls are in there now.
And the girls are in there now. Yes, they're enjoying it now. And it's just somewhere to hang out with a table so everybody can sit and comfortable and have that conversation.
That's right. So you've been open a few days, as you say. So what's the deal? Do people come? Because you picked me up from a long way away, didn't you?
Yes.
That is not a place you're going to want to pick people up from too often.
Well, if you're coming out of Damascus, you have 2 possible routes to come through coming north. You can go through the new, which is, it's the original trail, but it's considered the bypass now. Yeah. Or people can shuttle out of Damascus and go to a place called Grassy Creek. So when the trail reopens next year, the Creeper Trail reopens, it'll be much better for me because, as Steve mentioned, it's a long ways for me to go over the mountain past Mount Rogers, which is the highest peak, to get to the other side of the mountain.
You're taking me back there again tomorrow.
Right, and we're going to go back.
For which I'm very grateful, by the way.
Oh, we're going to eat good before we go.
Right, that'd be nice. Yes. Because you do some food, don't you?
I do food upon donation.
Okay.
And whatever it wants to be. I cooked for 14 years of my life. I'm proud of the food knowledge, the food handling. I've passed my food, my needs that I need to be able to run somewhere like this.
I was going to ask you about that. Is there much you have to go through? Do people have to come and inspect it or what?
Yeah, it's a health inspection. You got to go through the health inspector.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm amazed some places are trying to pass that. Then.
Well, a lot of them don't go through the health inspector, right? Like it's all their own choice, you know. Like it's. I can't say anything about the next, and I don't want to speak about the next hostel negative because the paperwork is their paperwork.
Yeah. And, this is a beautiful spot as well. We're right by a creek, aren't we, as well?
Yes, it's called Cabin Creek.
Yeah.
And if you go to the top of Cabin Creek, it ends up coming out right by the wild ponies. and there's 2 cascading waterfalls. 25-foot waterfalls is the top of my river up in Grayson
I love the way you refer to it as your river.
It's a great, well, there's only 8 of us that live on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 8 of us that live on this Cabin Creek.
Yeah. So your plans are really, you're laying the grounds ready for next year when the Creeper Trail comes back, aren't you?
Yes.
But if people want to see what it's like here, because it's a great place, you know, there's still things to do, obviously, but the things he's got there already is remarkably good. So, you know, I advise anybody, if they fancy it, a little day or out of the rain, which was my main reason for doing it, but the other reason was to get this the previous podcast out. But how should they get hold of you?
JeffDavises.com. That's spelled JeffDavises.com.
And we can also text you, can't we?
You're welcome to use my phone number. It's 276-280-6253. And because I live in the mountains, I do have Starlink and Wi-Fi, but if I leave my home, I sometimes and often don't have service. So text is probably the best way to contact me. And
I want to point out, by the way, the Wi-Fi works great because I couldn't find anywhere in Far Out that it says you've got Wi-Fi. You need to put that in there. Yeah.
Right. And I got to say, to sit by somebody like Steve, like that has that 5,000 miles of walking, I myself have that 5,000 miles. So it's an honor to sit by somebody that, you know, that has that miles in. It's
10,000 miles between us.
Right, 10,000 miles.
We ain't done nothing, have we?
Nothing. I mean, I can't wait to keep going. I remember the day seeing that 100-mile marker up on Mount Albert. Or it was before Mount Albert or somewhere.
It's Albert Mountain's 100 miles.
Now, yeah, I remember that day seeing that and saying, one day I'm going to finish this and I can do it.
You did it.
Yep.
Well, look, I can only wish you all the best with the hostel. I can think it's only going to get better and better and better. And I advise anybody, if they fancy it, come and contact Jeff. And he's going to be a great host. He wants to say something else.
If you don't mind, I've made up. It's called an ode.
Oh, yes.
To the AT.
Hang on, before you say it.
Okay.
It's actually been hand painted by one of the ladies this afternoon on one of the walls. So
yes.
Read the ode to the AT then.
The ode to the AT, it goes, we live like kings and queens in the land of the beast, with our jet bowl stove and mountain house feast. Will the rain come? Will the rain go? We have no reception. How the heck should we know? This journey we're on is long and it's fine, and we can only take it one day at a time. We travel uphill and downhill and uphill again. I'll see you at the shelter. Happy trails, my friends.
Very nice. Very nice indeed. Thanks. It's been lovely talking to you. Lovely meeting you, Jeff.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Day 53, which is last Thursday. State Route 603, mile 512.1 to Trimpey Shelter, mile 524.6, a 12.5-mile day. Yeah, I know my days have been quite short. I've had a couple of 16s, but I've been doing 12s and 13s since I left Damascus. But this is all about a plan of getting a certain place and to meet other people because I'm going to be being picked up on the Friday by Dave Santi, who I followed last year, and a bunch of his friends have rented an Airbnb and they've invited me to stay with them. So the idea was to get to Trimpey Shelter, which would give me about a 2-mile hike or 2.6-mile hike the following day to meet up with them on Friday morning. So that was the plan, and it kind of worked out pretty well. And this was a very quiet day. I only met one bloke on the trail, actually on the trail. That was a guy called Rowdy, but we'll come back later and I'll tell you who he actually was because I'd already met him before. And really, I enjoyed the day. It wasn't difficult. I coped with everything. It was a similar profile in many ways to the previous day with largely we were going down. I mean, there was a climb up, obviously, from the State Route 603 when we started, but that was the biggest climb of the day. So it was quite a comfortable hike, and kind of allows you to drift off a little bit during the day, you know, and muse and take your time. And I enjoyed doing that. So much so, in fact, that there was a shelter called the Hurricane Shelter, which I planned to stop at for a break or for lunch. And when I got there, it looked like it was uphill, which is a bad start. I don't want that. And it was off trail. I didn't want that either. So I decided to get my water, which was right by the trail, set my chair up, and I actually took my shoes off, which is always a good thing because my feet have still been giving me a problem. By the way, I've sorted that out, but we'll come to that later. And I made a coffee and had a snack as my water filtered. And while I was having the snack, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take some ibuprofen. I hadn't taken any ibuprofen on this trip. I didn't think it would necessarily help my feet, but I wanted to see if it would give me some relief. And man, did it. It made all the difference in the world. And so I've since taken a couple of ibuprofen the next morning as well. But no, I'm recording this on Sunday evening. I've had the last 3 days effectively not hiking. So I don't know if it's still going to work tomorrow. But I tell you, the ibuprofen really, really helped. So I took my shoes off at this Hurricane Shelter turn off, had this coffee and a snack as my water filtered. And it was just a kind of relaxing piece of time because I knew I could make the 12.5 mile day very comfortably by about 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon, which I actually did. I actually forgot to mention, by the way, that the previous day in the Grayson Highlands, that I'd also recorded Ben Steere, or Big Red, the guy I hiked with, who was going the wrong way, if you remember. So I'm going to play that after this. I got to the shelter, Trimpish Shelter, and I met up with Rowdy, who I mentioned earlier. And Rowdy used to be called Blue Noodle. I actually met him just short of Max Patch. He'd had 6 days off trail, and here he was, level with me again. Unbelievable. He'd had 6 days away, and yet he was with me again. And he was building a fire inside the shelter. It was a great shelter. It had sort of a double bunk, as it were, down below, and then a bunk above on both sides, and the fire was in the middle. He'd actually got some stuff to get the fire started, and there was a lot of wood cut around the place, and he just built this fire and kept it going, and it really warmed the shelter up nicely because it was quite a cold afternoon. And in the shelter, there's obviously me and Rowdy. There was a guy called Igloo. He got the name because when he hiked in 2023 or 24, he got hypothermia. And he was pretty bad, and he passed out, and he was found by a couple of first responders who just happened to go past him and found him unconscious. But he was suffering from hypothermia, and he was a really good guy, very experienced hiker, since done the PCT, good bloke, really enjoyed his company. And then a guy I hadn't seen for about, 100 miles, a guy called Discipline, really strong hiker. And as it turns out, he's done 100-mile races and even a 200-mile race. So he's a pretty powerful guy. And then late on, a fellow Brit came in, a northern British guy. And we just had one of these evenings, which I just relish. I'd actually set my tent up, and I was happy to sleep in my tent because I still prefer that to being in a shelter. But I just sat in the evening with the guys, chatting away and just staring at the fire, which men seem to do with strange regularity. We do love staring at fires, and the fact that this one was just throwing out some lovely heat, I stayed there till it got nearly dark, then I got back to my shelter. But it really had been a very quiet day, as I say, but a really terrific evening, and one that I think I'm going to remember when I look back on this hike in the future. So I'm sitting in the middle of Grayson Highland Park, looking at ponies in the distance, and actually mountains in the distance, and ponies just to our left, with Ben Steere, or Big Red. Hey, Big Red, how are you?
Good.
So you had an injury. What happened?
Well, I was going down a mountain, and did very, very steep and kept slamming my right toes into the side of my boot, and eventually it created after quite a few miles, created a callus.
Right.
And then the callus is forcing its way into the toe as it rubs, and creates a lot of pain.
I bet, yeah. But I saw you the other day. You were in Damascus. You were about to go to urgent care.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I saw you yesterday. So what happened?
So they looked at it, took some x-rays because they were afraid I had a stress fracture in my toe.
Right.
And they did a bunch of x-rays, and I didn't. They said it was just the callus on the side of my baby toe. Just every time it hit the boot, it was just tapping on that and aggravating my toe to the point where it just made it swell up.
Sure.
And then that just aggravated the whole toe and just caused a tremendous amount of pain.
So they established it wasn't broken.
Yes.
So what happened next then? What do they do to fix it? Because you appear to be fixed.
Well, they suggested that I take some ibuprofen or some steroids. I didn't want to do the steroid cream just because I've never had that work in the past. And they said I could put moleskin on it to keep it from hitting so hard, and then try and check with a outfitter about getting different shoes.
So what'd you do?
So I went to the local outfitter in Damascus and spent about 3 hours there trying on different shoes. The problem was they didn't have anything wider than what I have currently. So then the outfitter, the guy that owned the store actually was helping me. He suggested that Oboz makes a new insert for the shoe with a high arch. It wouldn't be as high as what I have in there currently.
Right.
And that would keep my toes from being so slanted into the side of my shoe by lowering the arch.
Right.
And then I also talked to a friend of mine who's a avid hiker, and he said to loosen up my end of my boot laces to give my shoe a little bit more room.
Yeah.
So my toes would be able to move better.
You could be giving me a solution to my foot problem as well.
Maybe, I don't know.
But so as soon as you did that, did it feel instantly better?
No, I walked back to the. I mean, it felt different in the store because you're on flat ground. So
Sure.
I tried to go and put my foot up on the corners of things in the store to see how it would hit.
Yeah.
I was trying to imitate rocks.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're certainly practicing some of those now in Grayson Islands, aren't we?
yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it felt a little bit better, and I wasn't getting the slamming into the side of my boot so much. But I knew I couldn't really get the right feel without actually being on the trail. So I decided to take the rest of the day off and just wear my camp shoes, and I took a emery board and just took as much off of the callus as possible without drawing blood.
Well, that's a fine distinction, isn't it, really? Not easy, I would think.
No, well, you just have to keep filing away, sanding away and grinding it off, and then I put moleskin over it to pad it, and then I also switched from toe socks to regular darn tough socks, but I got the ultra thin version. So then, because the toe socks spread your toes apart, so going to the regular sock allows your toes to come together.
Wow.
Giving me more room.
You've given a lot of thought to this, haven't you?
Well, I was...
So you're now 3 days into it, I suppose? 2 or 3 days into it?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
So yesterday was probably the hardest. I did 15 miles, I think, around 15. And I was feeling the fact that my arch was now having to deal with having a lower support, and it wasn't really taking that very well. So I was getting some pain in my arch and my heel. So I just took it really slow.
Yeah.
And
you must be taking it slow because I'm keeping up with you.
Yeah. And I did some stretching along the way, and then I did stretching last night. I was hoping just to kind of get that arch to relax and settle into the shoe. And so far it seems to be working. So I can't go as fast as I used to, but I want to keep hiking, and that's why I put a lot of thought into it. Is I don't want to I don't want to get off the trail.
You did well. So what's the ambition? The whole through hike, I presume. You've been on this before, haven't you?
I've section hiked 750 miles of it in the past 6 years, exempting COVID year. So I started in 2019. I did 64 miles with a pack that was way too heavy. Same pack, but just too heavy.
He's got a pack which says maximum load 1,500 pounds on it. It's an aluminum frame and everything's fitted to it. You love it, don't you?
I do. It's from the 80s, from when I was a Boy Scout, and purchased it in late 70s, early 80s. I'd have to contact LL Bean because they keep a lot of this on file. You can call them, and I'd like to see if I can find out the exact date I got it, but I didn't.
So no, I'm talking about what precipitated the through hike, because you've done 700 odd miles. You could have carried on sectioning, and you decided to do the whole thing in one go. What brought that about?
Well, the first hike I did, I was pretty beat up because I was way overloaded, and then the next one I went with my son and nieces and nephews and some friends, and did the Triple Crown because I wanted to do 100 miles.
Oh, Virginia Triple Crown.
Yes, Virginia Triple Crown, not the
8,000 mile Triple Crown. Yeah.
So I did that and really kind of fell in love with the trail, and then I after that I did a section of the Smokies in 2022, and I got injured on the trail. I had a IT band lock up on my knee, and I made it as far as Klingman's Dome. And it was really kind of a disappointment. But I could barely hike at that point. I don't know if you.
Well, so far we've just passed the 500 mile marker, so you're definitely on schedule, aren't you? Really?
Yes.
You feeling good now? Your foot's a problem, but generally you're enjoying
generally,
this.
I'm feeling that. Yeah, I'm feeling I can continue.
Good.
And.
Well, look, I wish you well with it. I hope it. I know when you get your speed back up, you'll be pulling well ahead of me again. But it's been good to catch up with you today, and I wish you well for the rest of the hike.
Thank you.
Cheers. Day 54, which was Friday and the first day of trail days. This was Trippy Shelter mile 524.6 to VA 670 mile 526.7, a Nero, which is just a 2.1 mile day. I was meeting Dave and the guys at about 8:30 in the morning, and I left the shelter at about 7:10 or 7:15, and just over 2 miles to go, so I thought that wouldn't be any problem at all. As I was walking along, I realised we hadn't been out of the woods. It felt like we hadn't been out of the woods for a long time, and suddenly we were out into a meadow. Something so beautiful about just leaving the woods and going into a meadow. And there were cattle in the meadow. I'm always a bit wary of cattle, by the way, because you never know what might happen with them. But yeah, there were cattle in the meadow. I took a few pictures. It was a beautiful morning again. Got down to the end. Once again, I moved pretty fast. Had my 3 ibuprofen, and my toes did not hurt at all. Amazing. I still knew that I needed to change my shoes, and I did change my shoes later that day. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm surprised how well the ibuprofen helped. So the combination of different shoes and ibuprofen going forward will be something I'll definitely be using. So over the course of these last few days, I obviously met Dave. There's a guy called Fishin, Father Tom, who was a guest on the show, Obi-Wan, Ghost Dog, and Waterslide at various times that were in the group. And on the way, I think there were 4 of us or 5 of us on this particular day. And we saw a guy hiking along rather, and it was Igloo from the previous night. And we picked him up, took him to breakfast with us in Marion. So he got the best lift he could have got, because he was just walking to Marion. Had our breakfast. We went straight to Damascus for a few hours. This wasn't really our main day at Trail Days. It was going to be the next day, the Saturday. And obviously I was interested in getting myself some shoes. And frankly, I've got size 14 boots, so my next go was going to have to be size 15s. And to be honest with you, I tried Hoka and Topos, both of which were recommended to me, and they didn't have. They had one pair of size 15s, horrible colour, didn't like the feeling of them anyway. And I thought, they actually, I think, were actually selling the stock from the Damascus town outfitter. So I could have just gone to the outfitter and see what size 15s they had. But Ultras, which I'd not really considered before, and remember, I've always had boots. Ultra, I said, what have you got in size 15? And they got this new one called the Ultra Experience Wild 3 Plus. Wild 3 Plus. And extraordinarily, they had them in 15s and black. So black's fine. I'm wearing dark blue pants, so that's fine. And I tried them on, and I know a lot of you guys love Ultras because of the wide toe box. Because I'd never tried them on, I had no idea how lovely it would feel to have my toes spread out and being able to move. This may sound incredibly naive to those of you who've hiked for years, and I've hiked now for quite a few years, but I've never experienced this. They've been so comfortable. And immediately I put them on. So I've actually been wearing them now it's Sunday evening for the last 3 days, and they're feeling great on me. I'm still going to take ibuprofen if my toes hurt, and I'm bound to stub my toes a lot. But, I'm looking forward to how these are going to work for me. I met loads of people there who wanted to chat with me and take their pictures with me. And I think I said this before, but it never gets old. You know that your podcast has reached these people, and some are genuinely delighted to meet you and generally happy to shake your hand and really happy and really want a picture of you as well with them. And it feels great. I'm not saying it. Yes, it does boost my ego, but it doesn't make me egotistical. It makes me feel good about what I've done over the years with the podcast and knowing that it's touched people. I've always known this anyway. I've had comments and I've had messages from people. But when they come up to you and are so pleased to see you and want their picture taken with you, man, that's a really good feeling. So I really appreciated it every time that happened. I think we left about 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that, went back to the Airbnb. And it was an Airbnb apparently in Damascus, but it was about a 25-minute drive. So it wasn't terribly convenient for trail days, but it was a great place for us all to chill out on the the porch, which was on the cover, and we sat outside chatting, all of us. And I could see immediately the fantastic bond, the old Over the Hill gang, which was Dave's hiking partners last year, how much of a connection they all had with each other. They were all easy in each other's company. And those of us who have hiked the trail know what it's like. The people you may not have seen for some time, you immediately get back into that feeling of friendship with them. And I love the way that they invited me into that little group. And I've been so appreciative of everything they've done for me this weekend. It's been tremendous. We found a burger place about 15, 20 minutes away, not in the direction of Damascus, but the other direction. Went there. We could only get Dr. Peppers and Pepsis, which is fine, because they were selling beers next door, because it was actually attached to a gas station. They didn't tell us they were closing that at 8 o'clock. So once we finished our food at 10 past 8, we couldn't get any beers. But we suffered in silence, and we went back there, went back to where we were staying in the Airbnb. I think one of the guys had a couple of beers left over, but we didn't need it. We'd had a good day, and we'd been to trail days, and yeah, that was the end of Friday. Day 55, which was yesterday, Saturday, trail days, 0 day. I should tell you, by the way, I didn't record anybody at trail days because I never found it was the right place to do it. I did actually record Dave Santi later on. I'm going to play you Dave after this, but yeah, it was just one of those things I decided not to record people at Trail Days, and I'm kind of happy I didn't actually. We went into Trail Days for breakfast. Father Tom told us at a local church there was a pancake breakfast for donation to help a local youth group, and of course we wanted to support that, so we went there, had a couple of pancakes, which actually was the only food we had till later on that evening. And we trawled the stalls again. I met up with Bruce and Emily Leonard and Chunky from Quarterway Inn. And, Chunky is the lady, by the way, who does the bead-by-bead necklaces, which is maps of various different trails. I'm wearing one around my neck right now. I love those things. And I'm actually going to be at Quarterway Inn this coming Tuesday, so while Chunky was there, I booked a room. And so I'm in for Tuesday at her place. And once again, loads of people stopped and recognised me. I said it in yesterday's sort of recording, that how it makes me feel. And as I say, it never gets old. People are so kind and so appreciative of what you do, and man, it's great. I messaged several people who I knew were in Damascus to meet up at 12 p.m. at the Old Mill for a drink, which I was going to buy. I messaged Vegas, and he brought along Big Willie Dog. Barry Hill, who hiked with me over the Rhone Highlands. Bruce Matson, who did the Platinum Blazing book and did the Platinum Blazing podcast. And Sloggy. Do you remember Sloggy? He did. We followed him on the AT a couple of years ago. He's got his own podcast now, and he's a really nice fella. And he's gonna support me in Maine, which is great. And may even climb Katahdin with me. Also, I don't know if you remember, but you'll know if you saw the picture, Jessica, the blue-haired hiker, and Iron Mike, who she hiked with. And they took quite a while to finish, but, they finished. They got there at Harper's Ferry. And if you may remember, Hugh Ickreth, a friend of the show and buddy of mine, he turned up at Harper's Ferry with his homemade Katahdin sign for them to stand up for the photos. What a fantastic way to do that. So I drinks all those guys. So, and apologies, by the way, if I've missed out anybody who turned up. But also at 1 o'clock, my crew, the guys from the Airbnb, turned up for a beer. And everybody had been so kind to me that I wanted to reciprocate the best that I could. My Dana is telling me how happy I look out here, and she says it like, I hope you're going to be as happy at home as well. But I said, whenever I turn my camera on for a selfie, I do a big cheesy grin anyway. But I am happy from how people have been so kind. The kindness you get on when you're actually hiking the trail is one thing. The kindness people are offering me right now is just another level, and I'm so delighted about it. But then the highlight of the day, after our quick beer at 1 o'clock, was to be in the parade. And the parade is where different years of hikers gather behind a sign. Someone holds up a sign. Some are quite elaborate. Some are just a piece of cardboard with the year written on it. And people get in order to start the hike through town, and the locals fire water cannons at us, which is nice. And I could go, of course, in the 2014 hike group, or the 2019 hike group, or the 2026 hike group, or all three, which I did. The oldest group to go, I think, was 1977 or 75, I'm not quite sure. But I got with the massive 2014 group. There were three of us, including me. So that wasn't great. I didn't recognise either of the other two. They didn't recognise me. So I soon dropped out the 2014 group, went back to the 2019, where I met several people I knew, including Lady Di, obviously, and Pringles, who I'd hiked with for a little while early on in 2019. And she was there with her guy, Broccoli Rob. And we just all had a laugh. Everyone got splashed, which was fun. And eventually I dropped back to the 2026 group, of course, which is the largest group of hikers in Trail Days. And we got even more soaked. I think they saved most of the water for the latest hikers. So for us 2026ers, we just got soaked, which was fine. It was not a problem at all. So when it all finished, everybody dispersed, went their own ways. We actually went back to the Old Mill for a bit of dinner before returning home to the Airbnb, but this time with beers. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be heading out tomorrow morning, Monday, and looking ahead, I've got a quarter way in to come on Tuesday, Woods Hole Hostel next week, and other exciting places to visit in the next couple of 100 miles. There'll be McAfee Knob and Tinker Cliffs and Dragon's Tooth and many other hostels, I'm sure, to discover. I just love this part of the trail, and I'm going to be upping my mileage to a hopeful minimum of 15 miles a day. I'll tell you how I've calculated this in the next episode, but I'm feeling quite comfortable. I think I'm ready for it now, and fingers crossed, I believe that I may have solved my foot issue, but we're going to find out soon, aren't we? I'll see you next week.